In this video, I continue to race the C license in iRacing in the MX-5 Cup Series to see if racing the top MX-5 drivers can improve my racecraft. This week at the recently released Willow Springs in California, and all from an older gamer's perspective. The Willow Springs track is a recent addition to iRacing, having been released in Season 3 of 2023. And from the air you can really see this a modern incarnation of the tracks that iRacing has in its catalogue. The detail around the track, the farmhouses, the background mountains and the various elements that create a fully rounded experience are, when you compare it with some of the older tracks, a step up in design and quality. On the track it's arguably even better. The rumble strips and curbs are both fully detailed to just look at and give a truly immersive quality when you drive over them. Even the track has a great quality feel to it, one that certainly drove the feedback on my Mazda R9 to just the right level, so that I could fully benefit from the delights that is a direct drive wheel. It's just an epic track that races fast, feels good and looks good. Sadly, it's not one of the most popular of tracks, at least not in the MX-5 Cup Series, possibly because there are not that many C-Class license holders who want to drive the MX-5, or the track simply is so new that few drivers have yet to invest in Willow Springs, which is a shame because I found in week 3 the number of drivers per race was limited. This did mean that I had the wonderful moment of coming in second place in one race, but sadly that was because there were only 2 cars. Well, at least I didn't come third, but in the main I found the population to top out at around 16, dropping often to just 11 drivers, at least at the times of the days that I was driving. Perhaps people in a more US-friendly time zone found more drivers to race. Either way, it was a deflating experience to be driving on such a high quality and modern rendition of a legendary track, but having few drivers around to make the experience feel more exciting. The track layout seen from the air here is a combination of long sweeping curves, and I'm driving here my qualifying lap, starting on the home straight which leads into Castrol Corner, a T1 that doesn't disappoint with opening wrecks. This is before it drops into this long looping corner called Rabbit's Ear, which is one of those corners where you have your foot on the floor and your heart in your throat, and where you really need to hug the white line to stay on the track and stay inside your time. This leads eventually into a tight left-hander with a short uphill, followed immediately by this hairpin at Budweiser's balcony. You've got to love these names, haven't you? Before heading on a short downhill that leads into another couple of fast corners. And these can be a bit tricky, but they're mostly, again, it's foot on the floor. In fact, this entire course is pretty much foot on the floor apart from the hairpins. And then we end up going into the last corner, which is another long sweeping corner, which is handy enough called the sweeper. And this again is foot on the floor, hell for leather. And see whether or not you come out the other end on track or off. If you go off there, you will get a penalty. I managed to qualify for this race in 1 minute and 30 seconds, but because, as I mentioned, Willow Springs is fairly underpopulated for this series, my session had only one split with a strength of field of 1,398, and the top 8 drivers on the grid all qualified a full 2 seconds faster than me. As my spotter said, I would have to pick my battles carefully. So given all of that, how did I do in the race? Seen here from the air, the race itself gets off to a fairly clean start. I think we all got away reasonably well. I even managed a halfway decent start. However, as we came into the first corner, everybody bunched up, and as you can see here, before we hit T1, all of a sudden we've got a 4-car wide Mazzy turn trying to be achieved, and there was really only one ending for this. As you can see, the cars bounced off of each other, and somewhere in the back there, that orange car is me. I've come around the corner to see a wall of wrecked cars in front of me, and I've tried to avoid, overstep the brake, and yeah, that's all she wrote. Seen here from the cockpit angle, you can see we do get away to a reasonable start. In fact, I'm actually doing quite well. I'm gaining on this number 10 here, managing to get my first overtake in the bag. I'm feeling quite excited about it all, and not really noticing upper front is utter chaos. And of course, there we go. I stepped out and I found myself facing another wall of cars coming towards me, and I just sat in the track and waited for them all to go past, which again was quite disappointing. Eventually I came out, got a bumper of a Mazzy there, bouncing away to infinity, and yeah, here I am. I started in the middle of the pack on the grid. I overtook 2 cars, felt good about myself, crashed and ended up dead last. This is me now, look. The other cars are so far in front of me. Even at the second or third turn there, which I managed to go wide on, I can't see anybody, and that's really disheartening. That I've started this race with such high hopes, such expectations of doing reasonably well. I mean, I was never going to come first with everybody 2 seconds faster than me, but I thought I would come at least, middle of the pack, 8th or 9th, or maybe even a heady 7th. But to suddenly find myself dead last, I was heartbroken. But I did come back from it, and immediately there was this car who had also come off the track, and I managed to gain 1 place back straight away, get past him and head into the sweeper with a little bit higher hopes than I had right at the start of the race. I mean, there couldn't have been any worse. After that disastrous start, you could say that I had only everything to gain from here on in the race. And there's the red car was going off on that track there again, a bit wide, and I begin to lose him now as I pace him. I get out a stonking 2 minutes and 4 seconds for my first lap there, about 30 seconds slower than the qualifying. Another car going off there, and I overtake him and gain another place. So now I'm feeling a bit more hopeful. I'm feeling like, okay, maybe we can get back in the race. Maybe we can get something out of this after all. I've still got that red car behind me threatening him, but I do feel that I'm racing a better race than him, and even though he's close to me, I can probably hold him off, and he will probably make a mistake and skid off again. And we've got yet another car here who's had a few problems with this Budweiser balcony corner, which is quite deadly, to be honest with you. If you don't get it right, you clip that curb, it takes you straight off. And I overtake him and gain yet another place, and off we go. Now we're racing. We really are racing. I've got cars threatening me on the inside. I've got this red car. As I predicted, he would probably spin off and not be able to overtake me. No, he comes across the inside and takes his place back again. And I've got this orange car behind me as well, threatening me again. So suddenly, I'm in an actual race. I've got a car in front of me who I believe I can outpace is in fact in front of me. I've got a car behind me who I'm wondering if he will come past me like that red car will. And a car in the very distance who I think I'm gaining on. So yeah, it's back in a race. I'm in an actual race. And this carried on for another 3 laps. Unfortunately, the red car did outpace me. He got caught slightly behind this green car for a while, and I thought I might be able to get past him then, but he slipped past the green, and I unfortunately got caught there for a little while. I was able to overtake him on this straight and into the next corner, but the red car was still way ahead of me now, having gained significant amount of times. I am lapping 130, 131 at the moment, which I'm pretty pleased about, but it's not going to be enough. I was hearing that the leaders were always doing a consistent 128, and so 2 seconds slower than the leader means that I'm really never going to catch them. But still, I'm in the middle of the pack. I'm in position number 16, which is not brilliant, but considering my disastrous start, I'm going to be happy with that, I guess. I mean, not deliriously happy, but, you know, not totally sad about it either. And I'm going to carry on trying to see how many more cars I can pass before this 35-minute lap is up. Now remember, there is no quick fix in this, quick repair, I should say, in this race. So if you do wreck, you are pretty much out of the running. You can come back and finish the race if you want, but you're not going to be able to achieve any points or really any position of noteworthiness. And this carried on in this fashion with me racing empty track until really about lap 20. I gained a few positions. I was on position 14 from, I think, 18 starters. And these cars now are back markers. They're a lap down and I'm overtaking them. It's a back marker and I'm overtaking it, but every overtake counts, doesn't it? I mean, sometimes I've been in races where I've had back markers who have been off the track because of repairs that they needed to do. They come back on and they're super fast because they're much better drivers than me. So it was nice that there were back markers and I could overtake them. But at lap 21, I'm averaging about 131, about 130 on these things, depending on my concentration levels. And I'm in position 14, which I'm reasonably pleased at. And also I can see another car in front of me. And there is actually also another car in front of him that I would like to catch up because he's in position 13. If I can overtake him, I will be up there in the giddy finishing place of place 13. And going from dead last to place 13 seems like something worthwhile at this point in the race. Eventually on lap 22 I caught up this second back marker and he signalled over the radio for me to overtake him before this corner, which I did very friendly. He got the blue flag and decided to obey it, which is nice to see. It was a very chatty race, this one, to be honest with you, and I did find it, in general the smaller races tended to be chattier over the radio, which is nice. I like to chat with people from around the world, and I was talking to people from Australia and Ireland and America and other places, I'm sure. And that's one of the big things I like about racing, is when you get a friendly race and people do like to chat to you. So now we're coming up behind this car here, and as I mentioned earlier, he's in position 13 and I now desperately want this, but we're coming round here on the one of the penultimate laps. We're just about to get the white flag going round this next corner. I'll just jump ahead to that now, and here we are, we're going past the white flag. So this is the final lap and this is do or die time. I need now to overtake this car in front of me to get that so attainable 13th place that I desire, and I'm racing as hard as I possibly can into all these corners, and the guy in front of me, he's also desperate to keep this place 13 as much as I want to take it from him. And we come round the rabbit's foot turning, or whatever it's called, and we head into Budweiser's balcony, and unfortunately here I'm clipping the curb and it just sends me off into a spin and bam into the barriers. Totally wipes out my car. This is the last lap and I've completely knackered my steering. I can't even drive round to finish the race now. It's the very last lap. Just had half a lap really to go, and I probably would have caught that driver. Whether or not I would have overtaken him, I don't know, but I think I could have battled him for that last place if I hadn't have wrecked my car. How sad is that? Now we bring up the final results there. For some reason, iRacing felt sorry for me or something and decided that I had in fact completed the race and gave me place 14 for it, which I guess I should be grateful for in some ways. And it gave me the championship points as well, which was only 23 because I got place 14 there. As you can see here, my average time was 1 minute 32 and my best was 1 minute 30. I think mostly I was doing 130s, 131, so I was pleased with my performance in that race, and I felt that if I hadn't have got out on such a bad start, I would have perhaps finished number 10 or number 9, something like that. That was my gut feeling on this one. But sadly, due to my own ineptitude on that last lap at Budweiser's balcony, I crashed really badly. I wasn't the only one to crash there. There were plenty of other people that did it. But yeah, it still felt like a really sad moment of this particular week's racing. I was hoping that my racing would improve, that I would become better at racecraft by racing these faster drivers, but at the moment that theory seems to be very much in doubt. And next week the racing comes from Bathurst in New South Wales, racing the Mount Panorama track, which from the pictures looks like it's going to be a wild ride. See you next week. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.